Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. I am at the back of the sheds up at the Heath Farm, and we've got the fans on, you can hear in the background. These little cubicles just here, we've got some low volume ventilation fans on, which you'll see in this update. So we are looking at harvesting our spring beans, which we've done. We've finished our spring beans now, so we look at the completion of that, which is great to get that done. Not the navy beans that's going to make the baked beans, we've still got those to do, and a few little other snippets and a roundup of general farm work in this week. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update. That Sunday one always proves to be the most popular, and hopefully we'll see you at the end. It's Thursday morning, it's just starting to rain, which isn't the best for the Haricot beans, but what is good for the Haricot beans is the Macdon header has arrived that we are going to be putting on the front of our combine to harvest them. They grow so low to the floor, we need this special header to be able to get down and get as most pods combined as we can, so we get as much seed as we can to plant next year. With having a drawbar on and all on the header trailer, it's easy to get off. Very close underneath there, touching the trailer, but with having the extra ramps there, it just lifts it up. You can see they've done this job before, he knows where to put the ramps. Lorry driver Jonathan has just asked Ruben to put it in cab steer, so he obviously knows what he's doing now to get it off, obviously because the steering of that front axle there is linked to this back, and it was just running off the edge of these, ramps. It's like it's been a bit lathered up where they've picked it up from. It's come from Driffield, I think, this morning. That's where it's been, on a farm near. That's it, all off.
You all right? Nobody, that's bad.
Just had a phone call from Anglian Water chap at the gate saying this is he's come here to inspect our water supplies. This is a DEFRA-led job, and the overflow tanks, the overflow pipes on our water tanks need to be bigger than the inlet pipes, and it's a DEFRA requirement. What on earth has that got to do with DEFRA? So much of the government supporting and backing British farmers. They're giving us more red tape when they said they'll give us less. It just makes you so cross that all these things are coming down the line and just making it so difficult for farmers to get on with our job and produce food and look after the environment. Someone else has just arrived for these navy beans. This is Agri's trial combine. There's a few trials in the field to do, so I think this hasn't got any more to do elsewhere now, so this is staying here for a few days till the beans are ready. Another load of fertilisers arrived. This is nitrogen. Just see the level of the tank, the dark line there. That's where its level is in a minute. So this tank won't fill it because it will take it to about 45,000 litres, so it will need a third tank to fill it, 50,000 litre tanks. We're just keeping it undercover, putting it in the workshop. It might be a few days before we're using it. I always like to see machinery undercover if we can get them undercover. Managed to sell our Claydon straw rake, put it on Twitter, and got it sold in 24 hours, which is good. We've used this. We got it in 2021. We did about 800 acres with it that year. Didn't use it at all last year, haven't used it this year. And the reason we're getting rid of it is we didn't see any benefit from using it when we did use it the first year. And so we've no point in keeping it. So the sale of this will go towards that contract tipper. That was the idea that we bought a month ago. This is in the oats up at the heath, and these are the grills underneath. You can see the cavity and that hole there. It's about a foot deep, a foot square, and it goes underneath that heap. But what we have to do is block it off underneath there. Otherwise the air will come out these ducts. So we have to push some, what we do is push some 1 ton bags underneath, and it just blocks the air off. as it comes out. Ruben and Tom have just done that underneath that whole heap. And then we'll put the little fans on at the back, and then it will force the air through the heap rather than come out through these grills. So this is the back of the shed that you've just seen a second ago, where we're putting the vent, making the airflow through, come through the oats. You can see this is all there are in these little, what I call dog kennels. We've got 2 low volume fans. Just lift that up. That's all it is in there. You can hear the fans running, and they're pulling the air in through that grill there next to Nala. And then there's a hole in the concrete. There's like a big drain channel, a big elbow, 90-degree elbow in the concrete, and then it blows the air under here, from here, and underneath the floor and up underneath the oats, because it's the oats that's the other side of that wall. Got another one there as well. And then we obviously got the bigger fans just here that blow into the bins behind those doors. And that's quite simple, and they're linked to automatic controllers, linked to humidity and temperature. And you can just see there, sticking up there, that is the temperature sensor. That picks up the air temperature. And then we've got sensors in the crop that's picking up the crop temperature. And then it's the difference between the two, 6-degree difference we've got. So when the air temperature is 6 degrees cooler than the crop, these little fans switch on automatically. So back in the shed now where the oats are, and this is the grills that you've just seen, those low volume fans are putting air through, but because we've now blocked them off up there, there's no air coming through here, so it'll all be going through the thick part of the heap, the deep part of the heap. There's the temperature probe that's wirelessly linked to the fan control at the back of the shed. And this is the temperature now of that crop at that tip of that spear. That spear goes into that crop about halfway, it's about 2 meters long, and 30.7 degrees is where we are now, which is just a huge amount. They've only been harvested 10 days ago, these oats, but obviously it was hot when we did them. So we're blowing these now to bring them down, and we'll have another look in here in a couple of days' time and just see what the temperature is and how much it's brought it down. So a bit of bad news. We're all looking forward to getting this Macdon header going and try it in our beans this afternoon, ready for the Hericut beans, and these beans are going to turn into baked beans, but unfortunately our combine won't lift it up. We can't get it off the header trailer, which real shame. I'm not quite sure how much heavier it is than ours, but obviously when you look at this overlay here, we have got a lot of the from the frame and the hydraulics. You can see now in this photo, in this clip, a lot of the hydraulics are heavier. You can see there's a big bulk of the hydraulics. Yet at the back of the header, it's a lot of tin. A lot of aluminium and thin tin work around the front of the header. Also, you can just see it doesn't look to be over heavy with the reel and things, but it is just too heavy for our combine. So the price to get 2 extra rams was going to be £2,400 each ram, to get 2 rams that would put on our combine for this header. And obviously we don't want to do that, to pay those out just for this one time. And so what we're doing is we're going to have Russell's demonstrator 9.9 to New Holland is going to come from where this header was, which is up at Driffield, and we're going to pay the haulage on that, which is about £500 to get the combine here. But unfortunately it can't be here until Monday because they have to get a dispensation movement order in place with the police. So we have to get that in place. We've got to wait until Monday before we can actually do these Hericut beans, which is a bit of a concern because with the sun at the minute it's lovely. They are drying after the rain earlier in the week, but we've got more rain forecast in the next few days, so it's just a bit of a concern. But there's nothing we can do unless we find another combine locally with a Macdon header, which I'm going to try and do, but at the minute that's, I don't think, going to be an option. Just got a lorry turned up for a load of wheat. We're just nipping out to go and try and get the last of the beans done. There's about 100 acres left. It's 1 o'clock Friday lunchtime. This wheat wasn't sold that long ago, probably, I don't know, can't remember, 2 months ago, and this is the wheat going out at £200 a tonne. I think the price today is probably £20 a tonne less than that. But the volatility, sorry, when I get my teeth in, the volatility is tremendous at the minute, all over the place. But I can't see it ever getting back up to into the 300s where it did over a year ago. Got started the spring beans again Friday lunchtime. There's a fair amount of dust, shows how dry it is. Not quite sure what they're yielding. We'll have a full resume of the yields on another update. But again, for new viewers, these beans weren't planted until April the 19th, 20th, so very, very late. Going a decent speed. We're going 8 kilometres the other day. Obviously they're nice and short. It's a real shame that the Macdon header, or rather the combine won't pick up the Macdon header because it's too heavy, because it would have been really good to try them on here. We're storing our beans in one of William's sheds because the barley seed that you've seen in the other clip a few days ago has taken up the shed of ours where the beans will go. So those are our beans here in William's shed. We've weighed them over the weigh bridge, so we know exactly what's here. And William's beans are exactly the same variety, and we've grown them, so they should be just the same. So I'm gonna push these up, and then we'll tip William's beans on the front of this shed, and they should just nicely fit in, and then we'll all sell them together. Actually, just looking at these beans, they are totally different to the beans that we're growing to make baked beans. If I can just, you can just see they're a lot bigger, darker colour. We're back combining the beans. You can see the sun starting to set behind, and you can see how sort of thin these beans are, and the beans are only halfway up the stem. We'll just pull the stem up like that, and now you can just see the beans are all into the middle of the stem. There's nothing at the top, nothing at the bottom. It looks like Ruben's stopping a bit with the combine, which we don't need, because we want to try and get this finished tonight, Friday. But there's still quite a lot to do. This field's about 70 acres. Good sized field, this one. There is a combine there somewhere. There we go. See underneath the combine there, taken what we call the doors at the bottom of the return order off, and letting it all drop down onto the ground. Otherwise, that's all going to the tank where the good beans are to contaminate the sample. But the odd bean will come out there, but not much. Very dirty crop to harvest beans are. Just look at the black dust. While we cut down the middle and do it like this, is because it's easier for the trailers, because the combine spout you can see just on the left there hanging down, the trailer can get whichever side we're combining. So going down here it can empty alongside, and coming up where we've just been it can empty. If the combine was to go down here, down this side, and we just cut the field from this side and work all the way from there that way, there'll only be every other breed that will be able to empty the combine, because the spout will be hung over into the crop. Doing it this way means we can get to the combine both sides, so it's a lot better doing it. Of course, the beauty of GPS means that when you do it, you know exactly where to drive, the combine does, and it leaves exactly the right amount. So what there is there is exactly the same width as what the combine takes. So you'll get that next time down. There's Tom just come in the field. So he's heading down to the other end, and he'll empty him just as the combine turns around, because his lights are flashing, which means the tank's 3/4 full. Tom's just going down to meet him now. Great combination of fast track and a Bailey trailer. So that fast track, you can see the range, it's 61 plate, so what's that, 12 years old. It hasn't done 4,000 hours yet. So I think that is actually going up in value, because it's a really, really good reliable one. So what that's going to do. It's too late now. So we've just done that little field. It's only 6 hectares, but yielded 4.2 tonnes per hectare, which is good really. I'm pleased with that. They weren't planted until April the 20th. So for beans to be planted as late as that, it's done really well. I'm pleased with it. So I'm glad we stuck with the crop and decided to put it in, because the wheat that's going to go in there now will be cheaper to grow because it leaves nitrogen behind and it won't need much cultivations to establish it. Can't be many more loads left now, maybe one more after this one, hopefully. Still plenty of room in here though. Can't get the trailer up very high because of the door at the minute. Got to drive forward and come right forward out the shed, then tip up. We can push it up, so it's all right. I'm just in the shed where our malting barley is, and this is where we cleared up the other barley. Just going to put the fans on. Got my lights on here so I can see. So just going in the air tunnel, and we've got wheat. Can't quite see it in the dark, but there's a heap of wheat there on this side. Let's put the light on. There we are, shed full of wheat there, probably 650 tonnes there. So that's on the right in this air tunnel. So I've got the ducts open, as they call, all the slides underneath us, getting near the light. You can see there. So this is where the fan is at that end. So the air will come all the way down here and then go underneath the floor there and then up through the wheat. Now this side, remember a few weeks ago when we were loading the shed, we put some tubes down and we tipped over the top of the tubes. These are where the tubes are. So this is to get the air down here, just lift up this flap like that, and that exposes the pipe. I'll get a torch under there another day and shine through. So all that is under the barley. So I'll open this one as well. There's another one. There you can see. So the fan's there, and so the air will go underneath the floor there, and then it'll also go underneath there and cool the crop. So we'll get that put on now on automatic, and it will come on when the air temperature's cool enough. So we have a sensor in the crop on our left that picks up the grain temperature, and it can't pick up the barley temperature on that side, it just does one. So we'll put it in the hottest, which I think is the wheat, and then I've got it set so that when the air temperature is 6 degrees or more less than the grain temperature, the fans will come on automatically and start to cool it. You need it a decent difference, because that's why they call it a differential controller. That's what the unit's called, because if it's only just below the air temperature, then the fan's running without really cooling the grain. So we need to have that set at a decent level. So I've got it 6 degrees cooler, so it'll come on automatically. Just leave it and it comes on some nights, not other nights, and it just means that the system's automatic, so you're not using or wasting electricity. So that's it for another midweek update. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed and seen what we've got going on at the minute around the farm. We'll just nip into the fan house and just check the temperature of this oats, because it's a day and a half since we put those on, and just see where it is and if it's reduced it by much. So just come into the fan house here where the controls are. A bit dark, but let's just touch this screen, it should light up. There we go. If you can see that, it's crop 1 we want to be looking at. Wow. So 27.3 degrees. Crop 2, that is the barley that we've moved, that's in another shed up here. So just, we will forget about that just a minute, but crop 1 is what we'll look at. These are the oats. So they went in at 30.7. So in a day and a half, just running at nighttime cooling temperature, it's cooled it down over 3 degrees, which is fantastic. So you can see the value of having automatic controllers on here and just running the fans when the temperature's right. There's no point in the fans being on during the day when the air temperature's too hot. So we need to keep that difference. So as I say, we've got 6 degrees difference put into it. You can put in what you like, but it needs to be a decent amount. Anyway, that's it on this. We'll keep a check on this throughout the next few weeks, because once the grain's in store, it's hugely important. Just because we've got the crops harvested and they're taken from the field into store, that's not the end of it. That is just the start of looking after the crop. We've spent a whole year growing the crop, or 10 months growing all these crops. We don't want to ruin them by forgetting about them in store, by not managing them, because if you let them heat up, the moisture goes up, the bugs start to breed in the heap, and then it goes off, and then when we deliver it, it gets rejected because it's not met quality. So we have to be really careful. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully next week we'll get these done. Fingers crossed. Please all of you pray that we don't get the rain that is forecast. Any questions on anything you've seen in this update, please come back to me. So that's enough waffling from me. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time, which will be midweek, if not before.